Hi, everybody. Thank you for coming. Okay, so today I'm going to talk about a collaborative project called Seed Cabinet, which is an interactive art piece sculpture that I initially created with a non-for-profit called Working Food in Gainesville, Florida. Seed Cabinet contains stories that are about our relationship with the vegetal world. And of course, I can't not, as a person who's an artist working with seeds and everything, I want to acknowledge that for thousands of years, the area that now comprises the state of Florida has and continues to be the home to many Native peoples, my house literally, and the lands from which many of these seeds in Seed Cabinet are grown and cultivated are located in the ancestral territories of the Potano and Seminole peoples. I am very grateful, and I hope to honor the past, present, and future Native residents and cultures of the places where I live and work. So I'm an artist who wanders and wonders about the places where I live. What are the aspects of my community that we see every day and overlook? More specifically, I think about the interface between humans and the natural world, those places where we literally touch one another, the sidewalks interrupted by weeds pushing through the cracks, or how we become one another through activities such as eating and excreting. Much of my work has to do with plants and agriculture. I often collect narratives and histories about plants as told by humans, as well as describing my direct experience with plants and soil as a means of interfacing with the vegetal and even microbial world. As an artist, my intention is to create work where the audience notices differently, recalling Robin Wall Kimmerer, Donna Haraway, and Vinciane Desprez. These thinkers invite us to notice our immediate and local environment. As part of my practice, I ask the question, how can I, as an artist, cultivate the act of noticing and facilitate the development of attending differently? Before launching into Seed Cabinet, I want to contextualize and cite my art practice is informed by interactions between plants, humans, and I also want to include some other pieces thinking about the theme of this session of collections and journals. This is an installation called Thy Neighbor's Fruit, which involves exploring the act of asking for something that is free and requires no effort on the part of the landowner other than access to their personal space. I walk through my neighborhood collecting fruit and mapping the location of fruit trees. I document the journey from street to the private space of my neighbors' yards and record their narratives about their relationship to their fruit trees, perspectives on nature, food, land ownership, and the potential transformation of space that could occur when a resource is shared. Many times there's audio and or video of people's stories playing in the background as you walk through the installation. I then preserve the fruit as jam and finally return the transformed fruits to their owners. And then depending where I am, they also may go back into the community and as well as the people at the institution where I am showing them who take care of the installation. I'm also interested in the idea of forest. The managed pine plantations of North Florida are considered wild nature, but are also kind of monocropped farm. The duality of this site reveals the relationships between forests, local communities, and the timber industry. After exploring UF's Austin Carey teaching forest, I found an abandoned fire tower cab. I saw the fire tower as a structural metaphor that could be used to disseminate information about forests. I received a grant from University of Florida to transform the fire tower into the Forest Art CoLab space, a site of creative experiments and collaborations. One of the pieces that's in there is Eccentric Grids, Mapping the Managed Forest Time Study. It's an installation in that Forest CoLab space that ponders our current cultural constructs of time, contrasting the lifespans of slash pine in managed forests 15 to 80 years and with the historic life cycles of longleaf pine forests 200 years plus. Part of the idea of this work was to make the Forest Art CoLab space into sort of a giant supersized Wunderkammer or cabinet of curiosities. Scientists from the Paleobotany Department at Florida Museum of Natural History and the Institute for Food and Agricultural Science, rangers from Goldhead Branch State Park, and salvage lumber experts have contributed to this collaboration. I mounted translucent images in the window panes of the fire tower, juxtaposing images of conifer fossils from the museum's collection, images of old growth longleaf pines from a local state park, and images of highly grained reclaimed flooring from Goodwin's Lumber, a company that salvages logs originally cut in the 19th century from southeastern rivers. Below the windows are small format videos documenting the lifespan of slashed pines in a managed forest. The idea here was to contextualize the familiar North Florida landscape as wondrous. Okay, so now on to the stated topic of this talk. I'm going to talk about a collaboration that's ongoing, in progress, and perhaps never ending. It's a project I've been working on for the last 5 years called Seed Cabinet. Seeds represent the essence of life. They contain all the necessary information needed to feed a community. Local cultures determine what seeds get saved, what crops get propagated. As food moves through different cultures, communities, and ecological environments, it becomes site-specific. The values and the taste of the places where they are grown impact selection. Seed libraries, which are on the rise nationwide, function simultaneously as repositories of genetic diversity and local knowledge, which is particularly important as society wrestles with food security and sovereignty. Using the metaphor of the seed as an agent of exchange and expression of community, culture, and place, Seed Cabinet is an interactive exhibition of images, stories, and seeds, treating the audience hopefully to a sensory experience of our food system. I joined forces with colleagues Anna Prizia and Melissa Dessau and their organization Working Food in Gainesville. Working Food is a non-for-profit that provides education, programming, and infrastructure to support local food development. We collaborated to make a piece that we hope would engage a variety of audiences to learn more about the power of seeds in growing local and sustainable fruits and vegetables. The result was an interactive and interpretive roadshow style performance with Seed Cabinet, a portable electronic cabinet of curiosity filled with seeds and their stories. Catalogs, glass slides, and preserved specimens are obsolete yet very familiar cultural objects, which when activated by and hybridized with performance video and electronics, bring together multiple ways of knowing, disrupting and playing with the audience's expectation of library, archive, and machine. As a person who teaches video art and sensor-based electronic art, I also thought about the technologies that replaced the card catalog, and then thought about the card catalog itself as a kind of technology. I thought about seeds as archival material for growing plants. In a sense, they contain not only the instructions to grow a plant, but the history of where the plant has been is encoded in its genes. I associated the idea of blueprints with electronic schematics and detailed instructions necessary to construct circuits. I also see circuits themselves as kinds of networks. I looked again to the idea of hybridization, a term commonly associated with domesticated plants, and thought about what would happen if we wired up an old piece of technology such as a card catalog. What would happen if a drawer became more than a place to store information, but a switch that potentially could cause a transformation? In the tradition, again, of the Wunderkammer, the drawers of a repurposed old school maple card catalog are filled with seed specimens of regional heritage, fruits and vegetables, and images printed on glass slides. I thought about the notion and the idea of Wunderkammer or cabinet of curiosity. For those unfamiliar with the idea of Wunderkammers were rooms filled with objects, usually natural historical specimens or relics, body parts of people, that function as a collection and conversation starters for wealthy people in Europe circa 15th to the 17th centuries. How could I make these crops special and create value or buzz around them? How could I make them wondrous, or how could we make them wondrous so that people know what they are, purchase them from the farmer's market, or might even want to plant them in their yard? To this end, I took pictures of the plants and had them printed on glass, recalling methods of scientific study and preservation. I also cast the seeds in blocks of resin, again, treating them as specimens of a sort. The juxtaposition of the natural materials of the seeds in the printed glass slide with the apparatus of the circuit suggests to the viewer the pervasiveness of human intervention vis-a-vis technology and the domestication of plants and animals. Okay, I gotta click this again. Each drawer is rigged with a light sensor, so that if the drawer is pulled out, lighting elements from a digital tablet glow, the devices glow, illuminating both specimens. Opening the drawers triggers the playing of poetic videos and audio narratives of our community's lived experience of these foods, their cultivation, preparation, and history onto a video monitor embedded into the top of the card catalog. The process of Seed Cabinet for me was an interplay between the technology and the content. Anna and Melissa introduced me to people in the community who were stakeholders with respect to local foods and seeds. I traveled throughout Alachua County, where I live, and began collecting images and videos and stories of human interaction with the land through farming and gardening. Some of the interactions I have with local farmers also recall themes of intertwined economic networks and personal and local meaning. Right now, yes, I do have time, great. Right now, I'm going to play an excerpt from a video of Feaster heirloom mustard. This is variety of mustard has been in Mr. Feaster's family for the last 150 years. I visited with him over the course of a growing season, documenting the mustard and hearing stories about his family's relationship with this plant.
People in the community, relatives who live in the community in our neighborhood knew that this seed was different and it was special. The leaf is not a real smooth, slick leaf. It's got a lot of texture to it, and it's really a pretty heavy leaf. It's not heavy like a collard, somewhat like a Florida broadleaf, but after it starts growing and if you don't harvest it, it turns into a beautiful, just a pure beautiful plant. It really is a beautiful plant. It grows big and it grows 3-4 feet tall if it's got nutrients and water. And a leaf as big as a frying pan or a big frying pan or laptop. This variety of mustard has got the wide stem, which is not common in what they call Florida broadleaf. It's kind of like a celery stalk, and typically we cook it. We would strip the stem out, throw the stem away, okay, and we would just cook the green leaves. Personally, most of us in the South like it cooked down nice and tender. Not to say we don't eat it from regular, but we always have mustard or turnips or collards. But in this family, in our little farm right here, it's mustard because of our heritage, because we're tied to this stuff.
So over the course of the year of 2018, Seed Cabinet traveled to 10 of the 12 public libraries in rural Alachua County, Florida. Seed Cabinet was also shown or was part of several farm festivals in Alachua County and Marion County. Deliberate was our initial decision to bring Seed Cabinet to local libraries. Our intention was for library patrons to come together and participate in a class on seed saving and engage with the hybrid analog digital apparatus of Seed Cabinet, listening and watching stories about plants and seeds from perspectives of growers, consumers, and the plants themselves, while also people shared their own experiences and questions about seed saving and sustainable garden. Seed Cabinet has also been part of the National Seed Saving Conference in Decorah, Iowa. It went to the Swale Barge when it was up in Brooklyn. It was a pop-up at Queens Museum as part of an open engagement social practices conference. And it's been shown in exhibitions themed around interactive technology. So it's made a lot of rounds. Seed Cabinet is a form of cooperative extension inspired pedagogy where the meat or vegetables in this instance and the meta coexist in dialogue with one another through interaction and audience. Seed Cabinet sows the seeds for dialogue between novices and experts in gardening, inviting people to literally play with the card catalog. We hope that is a collision point that remixes the discourse of how technical information is dispersed, blending live lecture with oral history, filmic instructional media, cooking shows, experimental ethnography, animation, and at times even kitsch. Seed Cabinet includes facts, but resembles the discourse of science as a way to share information about and hopefully problematize seeds, inviting the audience to reflect upon their role in both global and local food systems. Currently, if anybody has a car or wants to take an Uber, Seed Cabinet is here in Atlanta. It's at the Pratt Pullman Yards at the Science Gallery. It's part of the Justice Show. I put the address and the website up there if you want to go ahead and, yeah, please visit. Thank you very much. Thank you for coming. Thank you for listening. And here's Heath. Any questions? Okay.
I was curious, have you been to the Museum of Jurassic Technology in LA?
I have been.
Yeah.
I have been.
I mean, it's obviously a very different approach, but in terms of engaging with the cabinet's curiosity and sort of, you know, Victorian era approaches to natural history, it's yeah, I love it.
Thanks.
Thanks for sharing. I guess that's part of our mission as scientists, artists, or whoever we define we are, to be able to highlight the poetry behind data. Thanks for this amazing project. I have like a curiosity or two, let's say, according to you, with your experience, what are your perception of the main challenges you might have faced during this collaborative building up project? And the other would be, from all the places you've been with the last cabinets, right? Have you ever seen or prospected the perception of the public, the audience, like how they receive this cabinet, and if this experience might have changed the perception?
Okay. I think I understand. So first the challenges and then how people's perceptions have been changed. Did I get, okay. The challenges, so this is a pretty, it's multiple levels of collaboration, you know, first with a community organization, and then with people in my community. And like now, this iteration of Seed Cabinet here in Atlanta, some of the drawers are going to be switched out in the next couple of weeks because I've been working with people here in Atlanta to make it more site specific. So I think like keeping it super site specific is important. And I think that's one of the challenges, because although a lot of the, you know, a lot of the vegetables, let me go backwards. A lot of the vegetables in here are, you know, are North Florida. And so like if it goes up to Connecticut or something like that, it's slightly different. And I think also too, just managing those kind of multiple collaborations, you know, making sure that the people that contribute this are compensated in some way and credited, you know, because there's multiple people's voices that have gone into this. And then the other question was the challenges and, oh, did people, of course, I have no idea. I don't think that most people come to this and they don't think of it as a piece of, I mean, if it's an art gallery, yes, but like, you know, when it's out, because it has gone out in the field, like to these land festivals or, you know, to the public library, I think they think it's like a fun thing to play with, if that makes sense. And if they're getting a little bit like of what I might consider contemporary art in practice, like, so like, I guess I don't care so much. I hope that they're affected. I don't know, but I hope that they are. Thank you. Did I answer every? Okay. Anything else?
Will it be here in Atlanta?
It will be here till the 30th of September.